Hello, Coach JPMD here. So we're back. We're back to releasing episodes every Monday. So expect to see an episode drop in your podcast app every Monday and hopefully every Thursday coming soon. Took a little break over the past couple of months. And we also rebranded our podcast last year to the Independent Physician's Blueprint. So stay tuned for new episodes releasing every Monday morning. By the end of this episode, you're hopefully going to know a little bit more about Spain that you did not know before. Welcome back to another episode where I help younger physicians decrease stress and increase income by transitioning from corporate to independent practices, even without any business experience. In this episode, you're going to learn a couple of things about Spain that you may have not known before today. And that is, of course, their divorce rate, mortality statistics on top 5 diseases, and how much they smoke. Welcome to another episode of the Independent Physician's Blueprint with your host, Coach JPMD. That's me. And we are continuing our Curiosity episode series with Spain. Today, we're going to talk about Spain, who ranks number 9th in the world in terms of life expectancy. And they live longer than we do in the U.S. So let's dive in to some of the details of this country. Now, we have much more details. We have more details this week on Spain than we did with Reunion. Reunion ranks number 10 in the world, small island off the coast of Madagascar, and really didn't have much information on them. But, some of the information that we're gathering through this series will hopefully give us some insight at the end where we can compare some of the numbers and compare some of the stats. And that's what I hope to do at the end of this episode series on longevity. So I hope you guys are with us, staying with us, and remaining curious as to why Spain ranks number 9th in the world in terms of life expectancy. So their life expectancy is about 84 years. Females live, or women live to 86.6 on average. Males live 81.3, and that's just a common theme worldwide where women live longer than men. Predominant religion is Christianity at 59% of the population, and non-denominational religion, as per one of our websites that I looked at, was about 37%. Location, where's Spain? Well, I hope everyone knows where Spain is, but just for those who are listening and don't have a map or don't have Google and maybe living in the jungle, we have Spain as bordering France on the south side, on the south side of France, and Portugal. So it's almost an island. If it wasn't connected to Spain, I guess it'd be an island, because just south of Spain is Africa and Morocco. And I think Morocco has a long life also. So it may be related to the region. And I think that Spain is one of the countries that lives the longest in Europe. So there's something that the Spanish are doing that are making them live longer. And so we'll dive into some of the details. So one of the things I was interested in finding out is whether or not they had a lot more physicians than we do in the United States. And they sure do. So they have 4.48 physicians per capita, per 1,000 of their population, whereas U.S. has 3.61 per 1,000. What are their diseases? What are the Spanish dying of? So Spanish people. Sorry, I thought I had this right in front of me here. So top causes of death. 100 per 100,000 of their population. Now, this is in 2021. Don't have, at least I didn't see the more recent data, but we'll go with this. And you'll know why I'm a little concerned about this data, because the ischemic heart disease was number 1, was top leading cause of death, followed by COVID-19, and that's kind of expected in 2021, followed by Alzheimer's disease, stroke, and tracheobronchial or tracheal bronchus lung cancer. So upper respiratory cancers is the 5th leading cause of death in Spain. And what I find interesting is that these diseases, if you look deep, are really inflammatory diseases, right? Even COVID, you could say that COVID was an inflammatory disease. If you're dying of COVID, you overwhelmed by the response that your body had towards COVID, which became more of an inflammatory pulmonary disease, so or systemic disease. So that's the top 5 causes of death. Food. What do they eat? Well, one of the articles I read was that Spanish eat their largest meal during lunch, which I don't think is the case for us in the U.S. I love this restaurant that we have right down the street from us called Cepas, and they're a Spanish cuisine restaurant, and their portion sizes are much smaller, and it's very interesting because when you go to some of our American restaurants, our portion sizes are so big that we have to take food home. So portion sizes are probably much smaller. They probably are eating more of a Mediterranean diet. That's something I did read also, with a lot of vegetables and olive oils, olives, and I'd love to hear if there are any Spanish listeners out there. If you can text me if you look at the show notes, and there's a link that allows you to text me. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on diet in Spain and how it compares to the U.S. Cigarette smoke. That's another thing that I found interesting, was that they smoke, 20% of their population smokes, or should I say that differently? I think I should say that differently, because I don't know if it's 20% of the population that smokes. So maybe I should clarify that, because on this website I have here from worlddata.info, it shows that 20% smoke in Spain, and it's not showing per capita, or so 20% versus 9%, and I'll have to dig deeper in that number. So maybe I'll compare that to other countries and see if there's a difference. But it looks like Spanish people smoke more than the U.S., more than Americans. Another stat I found interesting was the divorce rate, where Spain's divorce rate is amongst one of the lowest I've seen, 1.8 per thousand, whereas the U.S. Divorce rate was 2.3 per thousand. So that was a difference. And one other pretty daunting statistic that I found on this website, actually from the World Health Organization. So in Spain, the suicide rate was 8.1 per 100,000 population. And in the U.S., it was 15.1. So there, I think, is something that we can delve deeper into when we do our analysis near the end of this, or at the end of this series, because this also speaks to our physician population as well. So I've talked about that in previous episodes. So are we not as happy? Are we prideful? Because there's a linkage between pride and suicide rates, from what I've read in the past. So something to consider is why are we almost twice as much, or twice as likely to commit suicide in the U.S.? And of course, that is probably driving some of our mortality and life expectancy data as well. And so one final thing I saw and I read online was that the trend in Spanish mortality and life expectancy is actually looking really good. And they're set to outpace Japan in terms of global life expectancy. So I'm not sure what's going on in Spain, but I definitely might want to take a look myself, maybe go out there and see how they live and see what they eat and see how we can emulate that in the U.S. So that's the curiosity episode for this week. Spain ranks number 9th in the world. And so next week, we're going to discuss Singapore. Singapore is number 8. And so we'll kind of lay out some of these statistics similar to what I did with this episode, since we do have a little bit more information, and I believe we probably will have more information on Singapore as well. So tune in next week for another longevity series episode, curiosity episode series, I should say. And like I said before, if there is any questions, or if you have any thoughts on Spain, any insights on Spain, I would love to hear your thoughts. So send me a text link in the show notes. It's the first line of the show notes. It links right to your text app, and love to hear what you think about this episode and this series. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you'd like to hear more, subscribe, follow in your favorite podcast app so you'll never miss an episode.